area. And then if you're in the Willow area right now, and just about Waimama, those two that are circled, watch when I switch over and go to velocity. Seeing a little bit here, a little bit in this area. The radar's trying to pick up on it, which I gotta say is actually right here, Foxley to Manhattan. And then the one for the warning is actually sitting right here. So all of these cells we want to keep an eye on. So to recap just real fast, tornado warning is in effect for parts of Manatee and Hillsborough County until 12 o'clock. You'll see some other greens here. That light green you see there, that is a flood warning for the Myakka River. That's because of all the rain that we've seen. I can't rule this out. We do not have tornado watches. Okay, we don't have severe thunderstorm watches. We're in a small risk for severe weather today, but with this spin in the atmosphere, with this Cristobal going by, we've had this spin going all morning long on these cells just offshore. And this line that is now onshore did a pretty good number before it moved onshore. It looked like what was waterspouts. The rotation was much more intense offshore earlier today. Starting to get a little bit of lightning in this area as well too. Sometimes that indicates that the storms are intensifying just a little bit. It's moving through the Willow area right now. Waimama, you're up next. Cloud tops one, I could show you that. Let me see if we get, yeah, so this is a little bit, this data kind of lags just a little bit, but that storm was over 25,000 feet. I'm going to show you that coming up here in about 10 minutes or so if we're still on here, and that is going to be taller because that storm is building just a little bit. This is the main area, again, right in here, the Willow area, where we're concerned about the rotation. Not quite to Waimama yet, but it's just about there. In fact, it's almost on to 301. If you're in that Pebble Creek area, let me get down in here a little bit closer for you. Go get some streets on here. So the good news is this is just a pretty rural area until you get up here to the Ruskin area and northward. So yeah, Pebble Creek Boulevard, Kings Boulevard. Now you're west of 301, and the rotation is down to your south, but it's going to cross over there, and this is going to be heading your direction. So very close. Here we go. There we go. Bishop Road, Bonita Drive, all of these areas here. Emerald Dunes Drive. So the neighborhood right there off of 301. Several of them. You need to be in your safe place right now. It's 11:46. We've got another 14 minutes for the warning. Obviously, they'll extend that if they need to. It looks like it's weakening just a little bit. They're going to continue it until noon, of course. Still radar indicated. No hail at this particular point. It's near Sun City Center now and moving off towards the north. It's just tough to see here on that. And that's good. We want it to be tough to see on the rotation because that would indicate that it's weakening just a little bit. But it's still there. Still there. On the radar, we're trying to find what we would call a little inflow notch. That's kind of tough to see. That would indicate where the rotation is. It pulls in some air around it, and you don't get as much rain, and the radar can pick that up. It sees a little gap in the radar return. I'm not seeing that, which is also a good thing because we don't want to see a whole lot. But I got to tell you, this is getting really tough to see here. I apologize for interrupting the program, and I appreciate your guys' patience with us today. We just want to make sure everybody stays safe, especially in this area here where it is. And yeah, there's still some rotation. It's actually crossing the border right now. So it's right in this area, right in here. So Bishop Road, Emerald, all these neighborhoods right here on 301. Crestview Road, Bishop Road, Rimini Vista Way, that's all the Emerald Dunes area. So if you're in the Emerald Dunes neighborhood, it's going to come right over top of you, it looks like. And at this point, guys, we do not know that this is actually touching the ground. What we see is that we see rotation. We see spinning in the clouds. The radar is right here. This is about as low to the ground as you're going to get it. The radar beam, that clear circle you see here in the upper left-hand corner, this is actually the radar. That's the radar that's sending out a signal. It's right in the middle here at the Weather Service, right? And it sends a signal all the way out. And the higher that signal goes, the further it goes, the higher up in the atmosphere it's looking. So it's got to get up here and just look over the trees, and then it looks up higher and higher and higher as it goes out. So we're actually seeing a decent a decent look at this. Sometimes when we have tornado warnings that are far from our radar site, we're not even looking close to the ground. We're up 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 feet sometimes. And we can have rotation there and not have it on the ground. But this time, with seeing rotation this close to the radar, it gives us a little bit more pause as, yeah, there's more likely that we have something going on right here. We'll go ahead and put the polygon on here and show you, still have that warning, thin red line. We do not still have, so you see this blue here. This is the correlation. This is what would show us if there was any debris in the atmosphere, this right in here. That's not, our rotation's right in here somewhere. So this is more good news. This is indicating that no debris flying around in the atmosphere right now. So we've got our team working on this because we actually planned that we could see this go through tonight and into the first half of tomorrow as well too. So Grant's here this morning with me. We'll have Autumn, and I'll actually be in this afternoon with her, and then Rick in the morning, and Grant back in the morning tomorrow morning. And don't forget all of our social pages. We'll keep you updated on this right now, on this as we go through the next 24 hours. Sun City Center, right on your doorstep. All right, it's right here on the 301. This is where that bend is in 301. That is where it looks like we have the rotation right now. And it's still showing up pretty good. It actually looks like it may be broadening just a little bit, which would mean that it's weakening. The last frame showed that as well, but it's still tight enough to keep this warning going. We've got another 9 minutes left in the warning. Still, from what I can see here, there are no reports from law enforcement or anybody reporting any damage or actually seeing it. These are tough to see. The rain's thick. This is not like what you see on the Discovery Channel, people chasing tornadoes out on the plains. This is going to be small, it's going to be skinny. It could do a lot of damage in a short amount of time and then just blow right through and then lift right up. These things can skip a lot as well too. They tend, usually when we're tracking tropical systems, you know, you may remember Irma coming through and we had tornado warnings. Those tornado warnings, I mean, they would last, the rotation would last 10 to 15 minutes tops, and then it lifts back up. Similar atmosphere that we have right now. So this isn't, like I mentioned, this is not an EF5 tornado, I don't think. Just looking at this radar, I don't know that. But this is not the type of thunderstorms that actually make that. So Grant is joining us right now. Grant, you've been following this morning? Hey. We just got off the phone not too long ago. Are you seeing what? It's really tough to see that right. On the velocity product here.
You know, what's interesting here is, you know, looking at the velocity, and you guys, you've been doing that with the folks at home. You've been looking at the velocity and that spin in the atmosphere. I've been looking at the lightning, and, you know, all morning long we haven't seen a lot of lightning. And with this particular little discrete cell that's now moving into southern Hillsborough County, real close to the Ruskin area, right there near the radar site, there's a decent amount of lightning there. And, you know, anytime you're working with a tropical system, there's not typically a lot of lightning, right? And then with this little discrete cell, we are seeing a fair amount of lightning, and that's, you know, typically does correspond with areas of rotation. You get a little more lift in the atmosphere, you're going to get that, you know, that potential for lightning, and ultimately, you know, we're seeing that concern for the tornado as well. So, you know, that's just something that I noticed, and I'm sure a lot of people, you guys at home, are noticing this within the warned area now, just east of Ruskin, there, right along the I-75 corridor, heading over 674 up towards 301. A fair amount of lightning. Bobby's showing you there the positive and the negative lightning strikes, which are the indicators of you know, different types of charges coming from those lightning strikes. But still, you know, that is a concern for me, because that would tell me that there's still enough of that structure in the atmosphere to where we might get a little bit of rotation and maybe that threat for a tornado.
Yeah, I was looking at cloud tops here to see if it was growing. And that data kind of lags behind the radar data, but it was up at 25,000 feet. The one thing that we look at with lightning as well too is, and in this case we don't have as much previous history. You look down to the south, there wasn't as much history. That's about a 10 to 15 minute window there. But sometimes when a tornado strikes, we actually see the polarities change. You'll see a lot of positive strikes, and then all of a sudden it goes negative. Or it may be more negative strikes initially, and then it changes to positive. Right now, at this particular cell, it just started producing more lightning. So we don't have a track record to be able to look at it that way.
Yeah, and you know, it's so tough, like you were saying, Bobby. I mean, it's right there next to the radar site, so you know, a little bit obscured by the, you know, the cone there, that cone of silence we say, that's right around that radar site, and then it's just hard to get a real good view of it. It's not a well-defined area of rotation. There's a couple of spots there where you could pick out that couplet that would suggest where there could be a tornado, but really it is tough as it's moving right by that radar site. I'm over on
right
weather
301.
2, guys in the booth. So, yeah, right up 301 is exactly what I'm looking at too, and that's going to be the area that, you know, anyone along 301 there in southern Hillsborough County, I'd say, what do you think, Bobby? Anywhere between, I mean, Ruskin up to Riverview along 301, I-75, that whole area. Best just to be in the safe place right now, you know?
All the way up.
Even if you're not technically in that warned area, yeah, I would just hang tight for a little bit and let this little cell move through.
Yeah. There's Calusa Golf and Country Club there, the alley at South Shore, all these areas. They're basically either side of 301. Most of them are just on the west side of 301 going northward in the Apollo Beach area. If you live right in Apollo Beach, back out over on Weather 1, you can see, I'm thinking it ends up right in this area here. And you can see where it is just to the east of all the houses there that are right on the bay in Apollo Beach. But we'll have to watch it. So really, it's right along Highway 301 and just to the east of it. Your rotation is sitting, let me show you this, rotation's still sitting right in this area right in here. That's what it looks like now, which is a little bit further to the east. So that's the big picture right now. Let me zoom this back out. The cell to the south is still showing a little bit of rotation, but nothing like this. This one actually looks like it's getting a little bit better, guys. That's good news. I'm not seeing, Grant, it's been tough at all to see any kind of hook feature on these types of things.
No, and the whole time, I mean, you've been watching it even beforehand. I mean, there was that rotation, but not a real good indicator of a good hook that would suggest that there could be a tornado. But you know, you definitely want to err on the side of caution when you're working with tropical systems, and there's all this energy coming in off of the water, and it's hitting the friction of the land. There can be a quick spin up, and you can have a weak EF0, EF1 tornado really happen very, very quickly. So I think that's the way this is going to go, Bobby, and I'm sure you'd agree over the next day or two, as we're getting these little pulses of energy coming in off of the the fringe of Cristobal. There could be a real quick spin up tornado, a weak one in all likelihood, but still one that could definitely cause some damage, and we want to make sure that we're erring on that side of caution and getting the alert out to you, so that if it is in your area, to get inside and get to that safe place and make sure that you're just aware of those quick threats. And that's probably how they're going to be. They're going to be quick tornadic threats.
Yep, 10, 15 minutes. So when we do tropical forecasting and you have a system like this, you look at the northeast quadrant, which is basically you split the center of the storm in quadrants, right? And we're in that quadrant right now. The storm itself is moving northward and will continue to. And in fact, by tomorrow afternoon, it's going to be making landfall. So as we go through tonight, that's going to be our best chance to see any of this rotation. You notice what's happening down here. I'll get back to ours real fast, but there's another tornado warning here out over part of the southern Everglades. So just these little tiny discrete cells, what I mean by that is those individual cells, those are the things that we're watching for to see the rotation in. There's the big picture in our area. You can see that's the only area of the warning. I'm going to zoom right back down in here again and show you the latest velocity scan. Again, the velocity is the radar seeing rotation. So obviously the radar is right there, that blank circle on the left-hand side. It looks, the latest scan is not looking bad at all. It's looking pretty good. They'll probably, we got 2 minutes left in this warning. They're probably going to let this expire, and then we'll get you back to programming. But the velocity product is not only seeing raindrops like regular radar. This is regular radar. There's the raindrops. There's heavier raindrops in the red, lighter in the greens, right? Velocity says which way are those raindrops moving in relative to the radar. And so that means you've got a bunch of raindrops going one direction and then a bunch of raindrops going the opposite direction right next to each other. That's rotation. And that's what we're trying to show you here, because yeah, it's raining and that's not the problem. The problem is where this rotation is. And so oftentimes we'll be using this velocity product when we're trying to give you an idea of where it's at. I'm looking at it now. It's much weaker rotation. The yellow area that you see there, the arrow that you see here spinning, that's the radar saying it still thinks that we've got some shear here. Gate-to-gate shear is 3 miles per hour, that's nothing. The velocity is 20, that's showing a little bit of something. But that all together looks a little bit better. 1 more minute left here. Let's see if they're going to go ahead and let this expire. We do have ponding of water on the roadways.
Yeah, there hasn't, Bobby, there hasn't been any
Apollo Beach.
No reports, right? I mean,
nope, nothing.
Yeah, no reports of any
anything like that,
damage,
no damage
so far, and right.
So it looks like now they've
Okay,
issued a new one.
that.
So let me come back here. They're just going to continue this up the road is what they're doing basically. So now we've got a new one that's in effect until 12:30 for the same cell. Let me show you that here. And that's just taking it out of Manatee County. So if you're in Manatee County, your tornado warning has expired. The all safe Willow, southward, Parrish, you're fine. Manhattan, Fox Lee, all those areas are fine. The new warning includes Riverview, Gibsonton, Adamsville. It's just east of Apollo Beach. It's close enough, but again, I think the main rotation is going to be just to the north of Apollo Beach. I'm going to go ahead and draw a track on here just to get some times for you. Waimama, 12:05, so it's 4 minutes from now. Then you get over towards the alley at South Shore, these ones that we were showing you earlier, just about 12:18, so it's going to take a little while. It's actually only moving 25 miles per hour, which is normally, if you're closer to the center of these things, of tropical storms and hurricanes, then they're moving faster. But these are actually moving pretty quickly. Guys, we can see severe thunderstorms that are moving 45, 50 miles per hour. This is actually a slow moving system here. So back over the velocity here, they've extended it, and now we're talking this area north of where you see Waimama, right in here. Perhaps a little to the left. But that's going to extend all the way up Highway 301, 41 as well. Again, it's more 301 than it's on 41. And of course I-75. I think the I-75 corridor right now, just where this rotation is probably a good cutoff point. If you're west of there, you're looking okay. If you're east of there, you're the ones that are going to be watching this very closely. Let me get down into these neighborhoods right in here so you can see a little bit closer.
You know, Bobby, one thing, I hate to jump in and interrupt you. One thing I think, and I know you're getting down to the street level here, but you know, if you're in this area, it's important to stay away from the windows. And we say, you know, get to that innermost room. But with all the thunder and lightning out there, not just that wind threat, Bobby, but also, you know, the lightning threat with this, you know, that could obviously cause some damage as well. So it's really important to get to that inner room, away from the windows, away from the outside walls of the home, and just stay there for the next 30 minutes. So like you said, Bobby, the warning goes until 12:30, 12:02 right now. Just, you know, hunker down for like 30 minutes or so and let the storm move through. You'll know it moves out. I mean, obviously the rain will let up and the wind will let up, but the lightning will start to let up as well.
Yeah, and you can see I kind of made those lightning bolts a little bit bigger there so you can get an idea of how much is there. And I'll put this into motion. This is, well, the back end of this is just the last 30 minutes. And you can see it really started to flare up right here. So the storm will be growing. Cloud tops, look at that. So see, you're not going to see it. That's actually low because that's where the radar is. The cloud tops are going to be up there 30,000 feet. There's 25. See, that's not representative of what we're looking at now. These things grow quickly. So tornado warning for Hillsborough County only at this particular point. It'll move off to the north about 20 miles per hour. It's actually, this one slowed down a little bit more. It looks like that too. We were waiting forever for it to get towards Waimama. But this one's going to head up towards eventually Fishhawk. I think it's more to the southwest of Fishhawk, but you're going to be right on the cusp of it. If you're in Fishhawk, you need to be in your shelter coming up here. In fact, let me try and get a track on it for you here. Move it right up Highway 301 there. And it's not going to pull out any towns. I mean, let me just do it this way for you. Gibson to
I've got
about
a track over on
1225.
weather too, if you guys want to pull that up as well.
Oh yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
you know, this,
That
like
looks
you
good.
mentioned, Bobby, this
Brandon,
storm it is moving
1245.
moving slow. Yeah.
Still no reports from law enforcement, no reports of damage from the public, nothing like that. That's good. Hopefully we're just watching a funnel cloud go by here, seeing the rotation up in the clouds. Gardenville, about 1221. It's the alley at South Shore, all those areas there. Due east of Apollo Beach. You run into town to get something. It's that area right now that has the biggest threat. Still nothing on the correlation coefficient, which is really good news. Always want to see that. While we're here, let's wait for the next scan. Let's look at the rainfall totals. And you can see, look at all of this down south. I mean, Oak Knoll, this is where the line has just come up. And we've seen several rounds of rain here this morning, but almost 4 inches of rainfall, almost 4 to 5. Look at that. So that's going to cause some flooding. This is falling over an area with the Myakka River area as well. And the river's already at a flood warning, and it's going to continue to rise. So we're going to be watching that as these storms go by. So we gave the all clear to Manatee County. Now we're looking up into Hillsborough County for the warning. As the storms go by, I mean, that red that you see there, that is very heavy rainfall. We're kind of close to about 1.5 to 2 inch rainfall rates per hour. And that's just below where we would get what's called flash flooding. So, yeah, we're watching for the tornado. That's the main threat at this particular point. But there's going to be a lot of water on the roads. If you're trying to get out and go around and look and see if there's any tornado damage, anything like that, we don't need you to do that for us. Certainly don't do that for us. But we want you to give this a little bit of time, let some of this water drain off. Velocity, going back to that rotation, still there, very, very small. Very, very small. And I'm actually using another software program here to look at it, and I'm not seeing as much at all. So I'm going to keep an eye on this warning and see if they want to go ahead and get rid of this, or they're going to
Yeah,
keep
it
it
seems
going.
like
Right
over
now,
the last...
the warning's in effect until 12:30.
It seems like over the last 5 minutes, Bobby, that the rotation that they were looking at to issue the new warning until 12:30, that rotation seemed to really start to break apart. So, like you said, yeah, we're going to watch this obviously, because you can have a redevelopment of that area of rotation, but it does look like the rotation itself, since this warning has been issued, has started to break apart a little bit. But no doubt still, I mean, even outside of that threat for a tornado warning or a tornado, there's still that lightning threat. There's still really heavy rainfall that's coming down in a short period of time, on top of the rain that we've seen really since yesterday evening, but through the overnight and today, that could result in some quick flash flooding, though there's not any flash flood warnings in effect right now. As it starts to move into more populated areas, you head up I-75 there into Brandon, and that cell is going to be heading up toward the state fairgrounds there, and then eastern part of downtown Tampa as well. That's right over a lot of concrete and a lot of areas that just aren't going to drain that water very well. So we could continue to see at least the threat for some impacts coming from this. Maybe not the severe impact of a tornado perhaps, but also the threat for some flooding, and that would cause some travel issues for folks in and around the Riverview to Brandon area. So obviously watching that really closely, and I-75 as well, obviously. But still a lot of lightning, and that's the really unique thing with this discrete cell. You've got
Go ahead, Grant.
No, you're good, man. Yeah, you got the 3D tool there. That's a great way to feature how shallow this is altogether.
Yeah, and it's probably not. I don't expect honestly to see a whole lot out of that, to be honest. This is about the area that it's in. It's tough to see. It's really tough to tell. But what you can tell is the storm is building to the east. The taller cloud top is out here over the east, and that's going to go right over top of what's the neighborhood? I'm drawing a blank here. Fishhawk. Jeez, Fishhawk. Love that neighborhood too, by the way. That's where some of the taller cloud tops are coming through, and that's just going to mean a little bit heavier downpour more than anything else. Let me show you the big picture and go back to the radar here. We're actually on the cusp of seeing a little bit of a break. And this one's just kind of, this round's finishing up with the doozy here with this warning. But you can see, looking at lightning, I mean, there's not much lightning around anywhere else besides this one cell. And it's continuing to expand a little bit. Yeah, no, I think it's looking a whole lot better. Let's see what the Weather Service is going to keep this going. Yeah, they still have it in effect until 12:30, so we got another 21 minutes. I got a feeling they're going to probably drop this out sooner than later. Hopefully they do. But that is a lot of lightning. Back over to our strike forecast. This is actually the dots, the pluses and the minuses are the actual strikes, but the shading colors that you see there, what we're trying to show you is forecast where the lightning is going to be. So Big Bend Road, up towards Boyette Road, not as much there, it's just kind of getting into the Boyette Road area, and then eventually up towards Progress Village area in Brandon. You can see it's coming all the way up and basically stays, you know, Highway 41 east. Best chances right there from 75 to 301. But a lot of lightning with this. And the lightning, remember, the lightning can go well outside of the storm. So just because it stopped raining or it's not as heavy and it's quiet, I mean, you're down here in Waimama, you're still getting lightning in Waimama. We're still getting lightning almost down to Willow. And the cell that we're concerned about is well north. This is where we think we've got that potential rotation right here. We've got lightning down here, guys. So you got to keep an eye on that. A 30-minute rule, just like when we were kids for swimming, that still applies, and that's the reason for it. You can get the lightning outside of the storms. All right, let's go back and look for more rotation. I'm going to hone in right into this area of concern here with the tornado. I don't see it, guys. You can see
Bobby,
how this red's a little bit brighter right in here? Yeah.
One thing just to put out there while we kind of wait to see how this tornado warning pans out, even though we still got that lightning and you know the rotation is fairly weak. Storm Prediction Center working with the National Weather Service in Tampa Bay, they're looking at potentially issuing a tornado watch for the afternoon. They're considering, you know, they're doing some final analysis of the atmosphere, so that might be something that comes down. So even though we've got this tornado warning right now, there might be a broader tornado watch issued for what looks like it's going to be the southern part of the Florida Peninsula into the afternoon. So just something that might be coming down the pipe here. If we do let you go with this warning, we might see that also pop up later today.
Yeah, and we will scroll that across the bottom of the screen too if it's emptied, if it's issued, excuse me. Right now, the Storm Prediction Center is saying it's about a 40% chance that they do issue a tornado watch.
Yep.
It's pretty standard. You know, if you had, you know, when Irma was coming through, we had it, and it's standard with tropical systems. The difference in this one is that the center of the storm is just so far out. It's just so far away at this particular point. But we're still in that quadrant. And if you look, I mean, look, that thing's almost 500 miles away from Tampa right now. And if you look, though, we're still in that northeast quadrant there. And most of the weather's there. I mean, there's not as much weather right around this thing as there is right here. This area right in here, maybe extended a little further to the east, that's where most of the worst weather is. And in fact, that's where the worst weather, when recon would fly out there, that's where they found the highest winds, all to the east of the center. That should transition a little bit today.
Right.
And what we're hoping is that as the storm starts to consolidate the moisture around the center, as it starts to get a little bit more intense and move towards New Orleans, that'll actually help to dry things on the outside. It's not going to completely dry things for us here, even though that's occurring with the storm. And so tornado warnings like this are going to be possible, especially through the evening hours tonight. And tomorrow, I think we will get a little bit better. So tornado warning
Bobby,
extends until 12 o'clock
at
this particular point. Go ahead. Oh, they canceled it. All right, good deal.
They
just canceled it.
All right.
Yep. All right, let's get you guys back.
Well, I was just saying, Bobby,
thank you, sir, for joining me today. I appreciate it.
Guys, be safe. Everybody be safe today and tomorrow.
Yeah, and we'll be keeping an eye on it. Don't forget our social media pages. Don't forget to follow 10 Tampa Bay on Facebook. We've got a live radar stream going up there. as we speak. Guys, we'll jump back into programming if we need to. Thank you very much for your patience. Perfect. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Troy.